Welcome to Education Today. I'm Jeremy Rigotti of Katanning High School in the Armstrong School District. Today we are going to talk about issues that every student, school, staff, and faculty at every level has to deal with and be properly prepared for. As educators, our main concern and objective is to ensure a safe and structured learning environment for our students. In the past, we've addressed many different issues that counselors help students work through. Tonight we are going to give a perspective of both our primary and secondary counseling programs. To help educate our students and parents, tonight we will be discussing a number of different topics. We have today with us 3 Armstrong School District's own guidance counselors to walk us through some of the things that they see and how to prepare and help students work through them. Welcome to Education Today. Now, could you please introduce yourselves and your current roles with the district?
My name is David Zablocki. I'm currently a high school guidance counselor at Katanning Senior High School.
My name is Kirk Rarick. I'm the elementary counselor at Chinook Valley and Dayton Elementary, both K through 6 buildings.
And my name is Dan Walters, and I am the counselor at West Hills Primary and Intermediate Schools.
Yeah, as counselors, you're trained to help in many different situations that some may not think of. What kind of issues are you trained to deal with?
Well, as a secondary counselor, we're trained to deal with any response that may come across the plate of a child that's ages 12, 13 through 18, socially, emotionally, academic, anything involved there, Jeremy. You know, if a student has a need at home, they come see us. If they have a need in a classroom, they come see us. As far as secondary is concerned, you know, there's nothing that's off limits, I guess, when it comes into our office. Not too many things surprise me anymore. You know, it's just the way things are.
Yeah.
At the elementary level, we deal with a lot of prevention and intervention, trying to get in there early, you know, and often with the kiddos and really put that structure in place for them. Really, you know, helping out with their social emotional health. So really, I mean, we're trained in a wide variety of things. Me specifically, though, I'm a crisis prevention and intervention trainer, so that's something unique for our building to have.
Yeah, I agree with the both of these fellows here. Nothing really surprises you anymore. We're trained to. I see many different things every day, from some bullying issues to crisis prevention. These two really hit it. You can go on and on about the things that we do every day.
And for our viewers, what exactly is crisis prevention? Is that working
Well,
through?
at least in our building, what we would do is we would intervene if there was any type of crisis, whether it's a student who's in danger to himself or to others. We deal in our building at Chinook. It's the autistic support classroom, so you have some unique issues within that environment, and then just really keeping everybody safe is a big part of all of our jobs in our buildings.
Now, are there state requirements or standards that require school districts to have support groups in place inside the buildings?
There are, yeah. What we currently have, it's at the secondary level, it's called the Student Assistance Program. It's state mandated. It is required for all school districts to have it at the secondary level. At the elementary level, it's the Educational Support System, the ESS program. I've seen it's being able to talk not only about the elementary system as well as the secondary system. They do things differently, and those programs are, I guess, run differently for good reason. Primarily at the elementary level, from what I recall, it's basically about the academic end primarily, and they do a phenomenal job in our district with that. These guys can probably talk a little more about it, having sat in on those meetings.
Yeah, we have the emotional support at West Hills for the Armstrong School District. And like Mr. Zablocki said, it is a wonderful program. In the primary, we have Mrs. Kim Runyon, and in the intermediate, we have Mrs. Adrian Curcio. And what it does is it just places the students in a smaller classroom. They may be, at some points, they hit every point pretty thoroughly, not only academically, but maybe some issues that students are having during that day. And like I said, it just puts them in a smaller group environment so that they're able to learn a lot better.
A little bit more individualized.
Right. And I think being on both the at the elementary level, being on the child study teams and part of the ESS process, it does focus on academics, making sure the supports are in place. But now since we have elementary level guidance counselors, you know, across the district now, where we each have 2 buildings between us, we're able to get in there for behavioral issues a lot more, you know. So I think that's another nice piece that we're able to offer, you know, to the students across the district.
Yeah. Now, I know there are different groups in each building that are designed as mentoring or mediating and things of that nature, but what do our schools offer?
Katanning High School, we don't really have a mediating group. When I was at the junior high, Katanning Junior High, we had a mediation group that worked quite well. Oftentimes, as a counselor, I oftentimes call in certain students or that I know I can really, you know, count upon. It's a tremendous burden to a student. No, I don't want to say burden, but it's a tremendous responsibility to a student to have to take on a mediation role in certain situations. Now, at the elementary level, I know when I was there for the past 2 years, I didn't really use a mediation group at that level. These guys may. I think that having mediating between friends, oftentimes having peers mediate, isn't always a good thing because number one, you have to be confidential, and this day and age, kids aren't always confidential.
Yeah.
And another thing is, you know, it's a lot to handle. It's you have to be very mature emotionally. You have to be very mature mentally. You have to, really have to be on top of your game.
Which is even harder to find at that age group.
At that age group, it is difficult. And, you know, kids at that age group shouldn't be. They should be, you know, enjoying their playing, enjoying their classroom work and things like that. But I don't know if you guys have.
Yeah, kind of following up with what Mr. Zimblocki said is that we don't typically have a mediating group at that level, but what we do have is more along the mentoring lines. What we'll do a lot of times is pair up a strong 6th grader or 5th grade student with maybe a younger kid that's struggling, where they'll come down during morning announcements, you know, and buddy up with that kid. And I think just by being with someone older, someone that these kids look up to, really seems to have an effect on them.
Now, how do they form and who makes up these groups? Just students or?
Yeah, we just use students. Very selective group. Like I said, it's a difficult thing to do, to be a mediator or a mentor. I don't think it's something you can just randomly pick someone off out of the classroom or out of the hallway. Just say, hey, I need you to do this.
Yeah.
I think it's a very challenging thing, and you pose that to the child and let them know that, hey, this is a really important thing. And it's oftentimes, you know, it really gives a tremendous boost to a 6th grader or a 5th grader. Just say, hey, we really count on you. And it does too to also a secondary student. Just say, hey, I have a lot of confidence in you. I need your help to help this student, or I need your help to help this person. You know, and it's a positive thing for them.
Yeah. Now, have you found that these groups are useful, or in other words, are students using them for their independent purposes?
Yeah, I think that we've seen success with them. I think it's, you know, everything's on a case-by-case basis, and it doesn't always work for every single situation that, you know, that we come across, you know, but there's definitely need, you know, for strong students to step up as mentors at times.
We have a positive behavior support at our school district that I think is a great program. The PTO gets involved. They help us out tremendously. Our secretaries, teachers. It's a school-wide program that at the end of every month we have a reward for them. That may be at the end of the month you do school-wide crafts that the PTO supplies. Last month they did. They were learning how to float boats, and the PTO help is tremendous in that school. And you know, if your parent wants to be involved, I'm sure they're always looking for help in the PTO, but the students, they love it because the teachers get involved. Last month they were doing the chicken dance and, you know, the cha-cha slide, and, you know, it was school-wide. Every other month, next month will be grade level, then following month will be school-wide program. So not only do you get not only do you get your own grade level at these positive behavior support, call them assemblies, but you also get school-wide where kindergartners are interacting with third graders. And again, like they were mentioning earlier, it's a wonderful program, and the students really do. They want to be there at that end of the month party or whatever is going on that they have. They really do, and they look forward to that. So they work hard to make sure that they get to those.
What's really neat is whenever you had mentioned that kindergartners get to interact a little bit with the third graders, they see those older kids modeling positive behavior, and it's a really good thing. It's a really good thing for young children to see positive behavior being modeled by an older kid that they look up to. Yeah. They really do. I mean, even kindergartners are looking up to, at least at West Hills, they're looking up to the third graders. The fourth graders are looking up to the sixth graders, and once they get down to the high school level, it just continues on. So.
And just to put a quick plug in for them, our PTO works extremely hard. They're there every single day helping out with all these different things. So, I mean, it shows in the effort of what goes into these end of the month activities that they do. So.
Yeah, and to go along with that, what makes this program important enough that parents should realize its significance?
I think with the positive behavior support, one thing nice is that the parents can continue this, and a lot of our parents do, within their own homes. It's kind of the concept of catching these kids doing something good instead of always catching them doing something bad, and rewarding that positively. And from a Shannock and Dayton perspective, I think we've definitely seen that with our parents. Our PTOs have embraced those programs, and you see it throughout our student body.
Yeah. Now, what are some signs that a student may portray that something may be off with them?
Well, I'd say every student's going to be different, of course. But I mean, you're going to look at academics. If you see a slide, with academics, that's one indicator. Attendance is another big thing. If a student's missing, a lot of school, there's typically a reason why. And then, just when they start being any way different from where they were prior. Like if they were really interested in sports, and all of a sudden now they have no interest. Of course, especially at the elementary level, kids are going to change things that they like. But to go from being completely involved to completely withdrawn, usually that's a good indicator that something may be a little bit off.
Have a good relationship with the teachers in your building and other faculty members, because as much as you want to be, there's one of us in two buildings or one big building. We can't be in we can't be in every class every period of the day as much as you want to be. At West Hills we have upwards of 1,300 students, so teachers really help you out, and they see them every day. They see that specific group of students every day. They know their students, especially at this point in December, they know whether they're having a bad day, or the students come to them a lot for comfort or with issues that they may be having. So, and then they let you know that maybe you need to see the student, or keep an eye out just to make sure that they're safe and okay.
One of the things that typically, whenever I was at the elementary level, kids K through 6, they don't have good poker faces. I would say, they kind of tip their hand. They show their cards, some more easily than others. Kids are coming through the door crying. That's a good indicator. You can pretty much tell whenever an elementary student is not having a good day. It's pretty evident. And just like Dan had said, and I'm sure Kirk can reiterate, our teachers do a phenomenal job. They know their kids. Our teachers know their kids, and I think that's something that I think all districts do that. I think we do that exceptionally well. Our teachers really know and try to understand their kids. At the secondary level, and I'm sure you can attest to this, secondary students go through very traumatic events, maybe at home, maybe socially with friends, and they don't show their cards as easily. They don't show those as easily. One thing that I can appreciate, though, I would say the overwhelming majority of our students have either a coach or a teacher or someone that they can confide in, that it ends up in the guidance counselor's office or in the office somehow. I get notified, or my counterpart, Corinne Linkus, gets notified. Even though you're not tipping your hands directly to the the counselors, like the elementary level, you're going to let someone know. Whether it's a coach, whether it's a teacher, whether it's I think that's something that we do extremely well in our district, that we pick up on difficulties kids are having, and we try to do something about it. Try to help it out. So
I find it important as well. I'm sure that they do the same thing, but I find it important. No matter how busy some days you get, no matter how many students you have to see, I find it important for them to see my face, because I'll go to lunches, I'll walk around in the hallway when I know they're switching classes, because I feel it's important. Because if I could sit in my office all day and see students, I could all day. But I think it is important, no matter how busy you get, whether it's paperwork or no matter what you have to do, to make sure that they see your face and they're comfortable with you. Because a counselor, to them, sometimes you're in the office, and sometimes going to the office is scary for them.
Yeah, you don't want that feeling of being
Absolutely.
nervous to have to go to a counselor.
Absolutely, and it takes a while sometimes. Although it may not sound the same to us, to a small child, going to the office is going to the office, and a lot of times they see that as trouble or punishment, and it takes a while for them to understand this is not for punishment. We're here to help you. So it's important for them to be comfortable with your face. So I like to be out and joke around with them a little bit and smile and say how are you doing, and things like that. It's important for us to do
familiar.
every day. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Is there anything else related to these topics you feel you'd like to discuss?
No, I just at the elementary level, I think it's really important to note that our PTOs do a phenomenal job across the district.
They do.
I know at West Hills they did it. Lenape does a fantastic job. When I was out at Shannock and Dayton and Elderton, Elderton did a fantastic job whenever I was there and Mr. Soraya was the principal. They worked hand in hand very closely. Whenever they were out at Shannock, parents were always in there. So, and they are looking for parents to help out. If they're able to, parents, if you're out there and you're able to, try to get involved with your PTO groups, and I think that's an important thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not always easy, but they're always smiling and happy.
Oh yeah,
they seem happy to do it. So,
mm-hmm. I guess to go along with that, there are if you're interested in volunteering, you can get on our website, the ASD website, under board policy. There's policy, et cetera, that you need to get clearances and stuff like that too. So it's more than just going into the office and saying, hey, I want to be on the PTO. So, but it's for everybody's safety, your child's safety as well as others.
Okay, we are going to take a short break and then come right back to discuss further how to help and prepare yourselves and your students for different things life may throw their way. Stay tuned.
It's hard to explain. It just became home. There are hundreds of majors and programs, bachelor's degrees to PhDs, small classes and faculty that really get to know you. Amazing internships and everywhere programs that help to find a job that is right for you. It's what IUP is about, a commitment to your success. See it for yourself. Visit us, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Find your success.
I'm Indiana County Sheriff Bob Fyhawk. We are all proud of Indiana County, but we must be worried about the negative growth of drugs and alcohol abuse. It is the responsibility of all of us, parents, teachers, and community leaders, to provide the best possible education to our youth in the prevention of drug and alcohol abuse. The law is a deterrent, but education is still our best protection. Help keep Indiana safe and drug-free. For more information on how to talk to your kids about drugs and alcohol, go to the AboveTheInfluence.com, brought to you by the Armstrong, Indiana Drug-Free Communities Coalition.
We're back with Armstrong School District's Education Today. Tonight we are discussing how you can prepare yourselves and your students for different challenges they may face. We have three of Armstrong School District's guidance counselors joining us, Mr. Dave Zablocki, Mr. Dan Walters, and Mr. Kirk Rierick. Now, let's talk specifically about the difference between the primary and secondary programs. Can each of you discuss this topic from your own perspectives?
Yeah, I could start just since I'm new to the district. One thing that I've seen as a difference. Last year, I was at a neighboring district at the secondary level, and what I've seen as the biggest difference is the primary level. You have to kind of go out and find the kids, whether it's through teacher referrals or whether it's from what you see with your own eyes. Like we talked about earlier, if a kid's upset, you see them crying, that they're tipping their hand, so to speak. At the secondary level, it didn't matter if it was my first day. A student needed their college transcript sent. They needed a letter of recommendation. They just broke up with a boyfriend. They wanted advice. It didn't matter to them if you were a new face. They wanted their answers. Yeah. At the primary, you really have to build those. I've noticed that you really have to build those relationships, with the students. You have to get out there so they know who you are, so they feel comfortable.
A lot more timid
with you. Yeah, definitely. A lot more. Indeed.
At the secondary level, I guess there's a tremendous difference, just like Kirk said. The things that we're dealing with, there's a little bit more on the plate whenever it comes to secondary level. We're looking at a lot of transcripts. We're looking at college recommendations. We're looking at should I go to school? Should I not go to school? If I don't go to school, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? The majority of parents don't want their children living in their home until they're 30. Yeah. We're kind of charged with that task of helping that student and that parent find an occupation that's appropriate. If a parent's uncertain about the mental state of their child, it's hard for a parent to decide, should I seek help for my child or shouldn't I? I mean, we're kind of there for that at the secondary level. Usually at the elementary level, kids are going to the physician regularly, and the physician helps them with that, as well as the counselors too. But at the secondary level, there's a far different need level there, and they do seek you out as opposed to having to go hunt them down. So
as the years move on with this fairly new guidance program in the elementary, I'd like to think that our students begin to talk about their issues and learn how to do that with somebody, so that it's a lot easier once they get to Mr. Zablocki and all the other secondary counselors. So I know that's a goal of mine to teach them young that they can work through issues, they can work through problems. Anything can be fixed. A lot of it, is just by talking and working through everything that they need to early. So once they get to more, I don't want to say important problems, but more serious issues maybe when they're older, that they already know that there's somebody to talk to. They've worked through things before, so when they get to secondary level, it's not just all at once.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely putting in the foundation, for a lot of these kids, and the teachers as well. They're building that educational foundation. We're building, the social emotional foundation, as well as their, parents are highly involved, at the primary level. So it's everybody working together.
To the district's credit, specifically Dr. Chapp, our superintendent, he saw a major important need for elementary guidance 3 years ago, and that's the reason for the elementary guidance is even possible today. We've had it in the late 80s. They got rid of it. They didn't feel there was a need, and gratefully, they recognize that Dr. Chapp specifically recognized that there is a need, and parents, I think it's because it's so new, parents may not be aware of it. Some parents may be. It's a great thing we're using. We're currently trying to utilize the American School Counselor Association model as best we can, and some of the facets in there. So both in the secondary and the elementary programs, the primary programs. So even though the foundation's being laid there, as they move up, it's beneficial for those kids to see the foundation being laid there, and for teachers and for administrators and for everybody, the foundation being laid at the primary, and it does move into the secondary. And I think we're going to see a huge benefit and a huge gain in the secondary level over the course of the next few years, since it's so new. So.
Now, Dan and Kirk, are there differences from school to school in our primary buildings?
I think superficially, definitely with my two buildings, we have 80 more students at Shannock than we do at Dayton. We have the autistic support room at Shannock. So superficially, I think there is that difference, but we do share the same principal. We share a couple other staff members too, and what we try to be is consistent across both buildings. So the roles, are obviously the same. The academics are the same across the board. So on the surface, it may seem different, but we try to make it, as comprehensive as we can.
Yeah, I would say different being that, they're different schools, different people. Everybody's different. Kirk and I are different. But I think we have a great relationship, and things that work for him might work for me. Things that work for me work for him. We emailing each other a lot, asking each other questions. So we try to do a lot of things across the board, and we are working to do that with our in-service days and things like that when we meet. But everybody is different, so the schools might be ran a little differently, but ultimately it's for the same goal.
I think that's one of the unique things about working in this district is that although it's it's a very large district, we're spread across numerous primaries and 3 secondaries currently, but we're able to get together as a guidance team. We're able to get together at in-services, or whether it's a phone call or emails, and have good communication, and through that I'm able to draw on support from Katanning. I'm able to draw on support from West Hills, and all our different resources, and pull it all together to benefit the students. So I think that's pretty unique for our district.
Well, that's our show for today. Our thanks go out to Mr. Dave Zablocki, Mr. Dan Walters, and Mr. Kirk Rierick, 3 of our school's guidance counselors. We know their schedule can be hectic. Our thanks also go out to the TV production students of Katanning High School, led by their teacher, Mr. Don Swanson. They were our film crew for today. As always, DVD copies of this and all Education Today programming may be requested by contacting Chris Garitano, ASD's multimedia technician. Please join us again next week for part 2 of this episode. Visit our website for updated information about the district, and have a great week.